Hey, this is Henry Clarke. And if you saw a Facebook post of mine yesterday, I had a fabulous singer in my home studio, Lisa Marcia Jackson, and she was doing Natalie Cole Inseparable. Well, we were finished with the session, and what happened was that she said, "Well, Henry, I have one more song that I'm thinking about doing. It's called Never. It's Hugh Jackman, the world's greatest showman, or something like that." I had never heard the song before, but I said, let's just give it a shot. So I downloaded. Oh, actually, we had the background music, and I just fired it up in my Tascam and decided to just do a recording of her. And so she did this recording in one take, And what's fabulous about that is that sometimes we think that a song is not really suited for us, or it's not our top choice. But I tell you what, this song, she did a fantastic job on this song. So my job, of course, after recording her, and I always record dry and flat. So my job was to actually mix it, make it sound a little better. So I just want to show you guys some of the tools that I use to make it sound a lot better. And just to give you a quick demonstration of what it sounds like now, right? Um,
I'm trying to hold my breath.
Let me bring her up a little bit there.
Let it stay this way. Can't let this moment end.
So I'm not going to let that go too much further. And again, this video is a little bit longer, maybe 10 minutes or so. I just want to show you guys what can be done in a home studio, not the $1 million studio, because we don't have a $1 million studio, but just show you what some of the things that we can do. So this is what she sounds like, just flat, no effects, no spice, no brightness, no anything, right? So this is how she sounded, and she's okay with this, right? I have her permission. So
I'm trying to hold my breath. Let it stay this way. Can't let this moment end.
and of course, she gets a little loud sometimes, right? She's got some power. She has some power. So she started to stretch out in this section here. Um,
All the shines of 1,000 spotlights, all the stars we steal from the night sky will never be enough, never be enough.
so that's a good recording. That is a good recording. Of course, she had a nice little tail on the end of it, and I really, really liked it a whole lot, right? She does this yelp type sound. I think it's just she did a great job on it, right? And that's up in here. So she does a little bit of
For
yelp.
me, for me.
So anyway, so she does that little yelp. I love that little yelp. But anyway, so I said, okay, I'm going to take this and I'm going to spruce it up a little bit. So what I did was I started using some of the tools at my disposal. And the first thing I did was I'm going to turn off some of these effects that I have going on here. Got a lot, not too much going on. Got a few things going on here, right? But we're going to turn them off. Going to actually gray them out, turn them off, right? So that they go into the bypass mode. So you won't get any of that. And you'll get to hear it just as it is. Again, you just heard her as she was before we actually put any sauce on it. I put say sauce on there, right? So what I did, the first thing we did was we went in, I pulled in auto tune. I used my auto tune plugin, and again, don't be embarrassed. Everybody uses auto tune, even if they say they don't, they do, because that's just one standard. It's just a standard thing. And I found she was singing in F minor, right? So I just put her in auto tune, right, just to kind of brush up the vocal a little bit, and
I'm trying to hold my breath.
she's coming across a lot better.
Let it stay this way. Can't let this moment end.
And again, and it's not a lot of processing because she was fairly on pitch. She was on pitch for most of the song. So, but we can all use a little bit of help, in doing that. And again, I don't mix a lot of other people. I usually just mix myself. But again, I thought I'd give it a
Never
shot.
for me, for me, never enough,
So she's on pitch.
never enough, never enough for me.
So again, so that's what auto-tune did. Auto-tune kind of pulled it a little bit closer to her notes, which, and again, it's nothing wrong with it. It's what we do to help it. But I only set it at a retune speed of say around 20. And I'm gonna bring the humanize up a little bit so that it doesn't sound mechanical. It doesn't sound that T-Painish sound. I know a lot of people like that sound, but for this song, that's not appropriate. I don't think that's appropriate. So anyway, so I did that. So the next thing I brought in is I also brought in a vocaling. This is not, I'm wrong one. So I bought in, I used auto tune. I bought an Isotope Nectar. And Isotope Nectar, what that does is that has a lot of effects built inside of it. So in that I use saturation. You can say I use saturation. I use some EQ, some compression. I use a de-esser and delay and reverb. So I use those things. And what happened was that, of course, I used it when I use the EQ, right? And I use the EQ to take off some of the lower end, some of that rumble that we get, that floor mic, things like that, low end roll off, which not necessary for a vocal. So I use it and use a little bit of high end to kind of level it out a little bit because she does get a little powerful, right? Use a lot of little bit of saturation to kind of give her some warmth. So I did that, and also use a compressor again. And I use a compressor within a 50 millisecond release and attack of say around 5 milliseconds, right? Which works pretty well. I'll put a de-esser on there also, and the de-esser takes that S sound away from us, so it makes it sound a little bit better. I don't like to take all of it away because I think that's part of our natural tone as a singer. And sometimes I think the breaths, I think they can add a little bit of dynamics to a vocal performance. Slight delay, not heavy delay, slight delay, just slightly wet, mostly dry. And also I put a touch of reverb on there. So in using the Isotope Nectar, right? Again, so another spruce up of the vocals. This is what it sounds like now with Isotope Nectar.
I'm trying to hold my breath. Let it stay this way. Can't let
I think it sounds so much better.
moment end.
And if I go near the end when she starts belting out a few notes, getting a little bit higher, right? Belting out. And again, we're using the compressor to keep her in the pocket per se. We don't want her voice kind of going all over the place and overpowering everybody, right? We want it to be loud, but at the same time, we want it to be a more even tone so that you can hear everything without having to adjust your speakers all the time. So again, so when we get into the louder passages, right? As you can see, it's kicking in. It's kicking in. If you look at the waves that's coming through the EQ, or I cut some of that top end off. The compressor, she's giving that compressor a go, which is pulling that vocal down into a nice little pocket there. So it's getting better. It's getting better, isn't it? So again, so I put the auto tune. I put some compressor on there, right? I have another CLA vocal compressor. And this is just a standard compressor. So when I go to the Chris Lord Alge plugin, and this is by Waves, you will hear it really. It's really going to brighten up now because what Waves does is Waves gives me a nice tone. And there's some things that I can do here that I couldn't do with some of the other stuff. So when I bring Waves into play, and this Chris Lord Alge plugin, right, this is going to give me really nice dynamics. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the delay off, and I'm going to take the pitch correction off, but I'm going to take the chamber and use a chamber for the reverb, give it more presence, right? I'm going to put a little bit more compression on it. So I'm going to raise the compression up a little bit, a little more treble. Then I'm going to take that bass and take that bass down. And when we run it, you're going to hear a big difference now when we run it through the Chris Lord Alge tune plugin, right? A vocal plugin. And again, it's a huge difference.
I'm trying to hold my breath. Let it stay this way. Can't let this moment end.
As you can see,
You set
sounds
off
so
a
much better.
dream with me, getting louder.
So I think that's so much better, so much cleaner, right? And it's a nice clean performance. And again, you know, this is not $1 million studio. But we have some tools that can help us out a lot and make us sound a whole lot better. So again, so if you listen through it, running through the Chris Lord Alge plugin.
Never for me, for me, never enough, never enough, never enough for me.
She's giving it a go. So we're running it through that, and also the last thing I'm using on this lead vocal is I'm using what we call Vocal Rider. And Vocal Rider will take and move the fader up and down and keep that fader right in that pocket where I want it to be. And you'll actually see that move around a little bit because it makes the adjustments based on the frequencies, and it keeps it nice and tight.
Never for me.
And if you notice
For
vocal
me,
rider.
never enough, never, never enough, never enough for me, for me, for
So now, so now vocal rider's got it going, right? So again, we got it going through vocal rider. And the last thing I wanted to do was I wanted to put a little twist in this. She has this note in the end, and it's a
me, for
note
me.
where she does this yelp. And I love that little thing, right? But I wanted it to be a little bit more dynamic. And if you listen to it, I'm gonna play it for you flat. This is how it sounds with no effects on it whatsoever.
For me.
And this is with the effects on it. Again, it's huge, huge difference, right?
For me.
So I wanted that on there, but I also wanted to add a twist of an echo when she does the yep, when she does a little yelp, right? I wanted a twist of an echo. So what I did with that is I'm actually using a delay. I'm using a vintage delay, vintage Echo 73, right? And this is coming through. This is the Olicon Echo, right? So it's giving me a nice little echo where it will give those repeats that I'm looking for, right? So give me some nice little repeats there on the end. If I just play just the last note. So I love that little, and I don't want it loud. I don't want it loud. I want it in the background. So I love that. And of course, I'm using a stereo imager on this is just on that little last note. So that stereo imager is giving it more width across the system, the left and the right speakers, things like that. So, and again, so when you hear it together, you'll get this nice little tone. So, and I love, so that's what I wanted. So I love that. I love that. So anyway, so again, so what I did, of course, is like I said, I took the master vocal, the master lead vocal, right, with no dynamics whatsoever, put some sweeteners in it, right, and again, I used, when I go back here, I used Isotope Nectar, which gave me saturation, EQ, compression, a de-esser, delay, and reverb, and I also used a little auto-tune, right, put her in F minor, put it right in the key. I used a Chris Lord Alge preset vocal plug-in, right, which gave me a little bass treble, more compression, and a little bit of reverb. Put those things together for me, right? And lastly, I use Vocal Rider, which will keep it in the pocket for me, right? So those are the actual plugins that I use on her lead vocal. And of course, when I did the little what do you call it? I'm sorry, when I did the little echo thing, right, is that I used the Olicon. I use the Olicon Echo, and also I just use a little delay, little echo, and a stereo imager to give it more space. So those are the things that I use. And again, if you listen to it with the music, even though you may say, okay, well, it sounds a little echoey, sounds a little echoey, right? Well, it's okay because the music tends to absorb a lot of the reverberation you hear, and especially when you hear things live. When you hear things live, you hear a lot of reverberation. So
I'm trying to hold my breath. Let it stay this way. Can't let this moment end.
So that's what it sounds like now. So I think it sounds pretty good there. I really do. I think she's gonna love it. I had made this video before, but I had so much echo going. I was using open broadcasting software, which was driving me crazy because I hadn't used it before. So again, this should come out much better, and you should be able to hear her much better than you had in the previous video. And that's it. So again, this is Lisa Marcia Jackson, mixed by Henry Clarke. and I used Waves, I used Isotope Nectar, I used Cakewalk, I used Sonar, I used a few plugins. Oh, and I used Auto-Tune. So I used a few plugins with this, but not an incredible amount of plugins. And again, it was because of the fact that she did such a great performance on the vocal by itself. So thanks, Lisa, for allowing me to use you again as my test subject. You know. Anyway, the final mix will be out soon, and you guys can check it out. And we'll have it out on. It'll probably be. I know I'll put it on my channel, and she will probably put it on her YouTube channel. Of course, my channel is Henry Clarke. You can always subscribe and look at other things that I have done. And usually, like I said, I pretty much do myself. Not a great singer, I don't think so anyway. But anyway, but I like producing music and putting music out there for your listening pleasure. Again, see ya. Bye.